Hi, welcome back into my Koenigsegg Jesko modeling series. In the previous episode of this series, we modeled the sides of our car. And in this episode, we're going to model the majority of the rear bumper and the rest of the roof. Now, before starting with the tutorial, I want to invite you to join my Discord channel, where you're going to find many other people like you and me that enjoy to use Blender to make their projects a reality. There you'll be able to get help with any of your projects and engage with the community. And with that said, make sure to check out the other parts if you haven't. Leave a like to this video, subscribe to the channel, and without further ado, let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do in order to start modeling is going to be duplicating all of these vertices at the back of the car's roof and doors. Just select them. Then duplicate them using Shift+D and separate them using P, then by selection. Note that probably you'll get two different objects that you'll have to join together with Ctrl+J before being able to work with them. Now we're ready to start modeling. First of all, I extruded from this vertex to outline this part of the blueprint. Then I did the same thing with these vertices. Once you do that, select all of these vertices and adjust them on side view too. To better recreate this curve, I switch this reference from front to back. So that now I can hide these things and position these vertices correctly. After you positioned all of these in place, repeat the same operations with these ones. And after that, continue extruding from here. Once you adjusted everything in top view, repeat the process in side view. We are now going to fill each of the parts we outlined, starting from the inside. Select this edge loop and choose this vertex as your active element. Then duplicate it. And position it here on this vertex by putting your 3D cursor there. Then while selecting the edge loop we just duplicated, press Shift+S+7. And merge duplicates by pressing A, then M and by distance. Now you'll have to move these vertices here to follow the car's intended structure. Then delete these vertices and extrude one here to close this window. Now you have to add a loop cut to both of these edges, since we're going to use them to connect all of the geometry to the rest of the model in a correct manner, and that will also enable us to give a preciser form to the rear window's border. Now you can use the same method we used earlier to duplicate these vertices here and position them alongside the y-axis. Don't forget to merge duplicates. Once you do that, extrude a vertex from here. Then add loop cuts to both of these edges so that there's an equal number of them on each edge loop. Finally, we can start filling everything up. Connect these two vertices, then create a face here. Create another face here and fix the normals with Shift+N. Then slide these edges downward. And add 3 loop cuts to the face we just created in order to match the edge count on the opposite side of the rear mirror. Then to fill everything, add a loop cut here and hold F while having this edge selected. Now let's work on the inside. First of all, put your 3D cursor here. Then duplicate this big edge and snap it to it. Now repeat the same process with this side. Then make sure to merge these two vertices at roughly this point right here. At this point, you'll have to merge all the duplicated vertices by pressing M, then by distance. After that, just dissolve one of these edges and fill this section with grid fill. Separate this part here from the rest using V. And go here to this vertex where we can continue defining the car's shape, extruding along this curve. And now we have to fill everything between these two gaps. Firstly, connect these two. Then add 5 vertices here to match the other side. Add a little vertex here in grid fill. Now we need to cut out this line right here from this. Just slide these vertices a bit. Then add 2 loop cuts here and isolate these edges to match the blueprint's form. Then use the G-stretch and the space loop tools to clean your geometry. And finally, make sure to mark these edges with a seam, since we're going to separate this carbon piece later. Now duplicate these vertices and snap them here. Then simply fill up these faces. And to sharpen this edge, create this cut here. Add a loop cut and connect everything to the center. Obviously, make sure that all of these are straight. Since we need to create a stronger curve here, I added a loop cut on all of these. Then I isolated this edge and lowered the vertex I had just created. Finally, I adjusted the other two at the same height. Now pick these vertices, duplicate them, and snap them here. Then use scale to adjust its form and bring all the corresponding vertices to the same height. At this point, you can add 5 loop cuts to this edge right here in order to fill everything up. Then add another 3 here. And align this border to the blueprint. We can now easily fill up this part. Just add a loop cut here and position it on the upper side of this edge. Then add another 7 here and 2 here. Then grid fill. You can use your space and relax loop tools to make your model look more smooth. Once your model is nice and smooth, we can focus on continuing this line we created on the roof. For this reason, I firstly brought back these 3 vertices to their original position by snapping them to my 3D cursor. Then I slided all of the vertices along these edges closer to follow the line. And finally raised all of them by firstly duplicating them and snapping them to the right height. You can now use your loop tools to make your topology look cleaner. It's now time to define the rear bumper's curvature. To do that, I simply extruded this vertex right here to momentarily see how the curve should look like, since on our blueprint it's covered by the spoiler. Then I aligned all of these vertices to it. And use the same curvature to refine the bumper's shape. Let's close this gap now. Just take these edges, duplicate them, and snap them to the x-axis. Then add 2 loop cuts in between these 2 vertices. Then fill these faces first and fill the rest. Now we need to adjust our edge flow on this portion to better fit the car's shape. Firstly, join these 2 vertices with J. Then dissolve all of these. Now dissolve this edge too. Then dissolve this edge and create these faces. Finally, add an edge loop here to ensure quad-base topology. And finally, use L to select this portion between our seams and separate it from the rest. Now you can dissolve these edges. Then slide this border outward to create some space and use loop tools to smooth out the curves. We may now proceed on filling this other section, completing the roof. Just add 2 loop cuts here. Then add another one here and bring it at the same height as the other ones. Now simply connect these. Then bring this forward and add 3 loop cuts here to match the other side. And finally connect these vertices, add 3 loop cuts, fill this section, then fill this. Make sure to use loop cuts in order to maintain clean topology. Let's add a detail to this side now. Just add a loop cut and move it closer to this border. Then use your loop tools to space these edges. And finally, use Alt+S to inflate these a bit and give a cool effect. Now that this portion is all set, we need to give some depth to these windows on the back of the car. That's why I selected them all with L and separated them from the rest by loose parts. Then to give thickness, select everything and press Alt+E, extrude faces along normals. And delete the faces on the bottom and center of the piece. Then finally apply bevels on all sharp edges. Now repeat the same process with this other back panel. Let's do the same thing with this other piece. And the same thing again with the rest of the rear bumper. But this time, make sure to delete all of these faces too. Here I also noticed there are 2 windows instead of a big one, so I proceeded on making a cut. I simply slided these vertices to match the cut on the blueprint, then used V to separate the 2 pieces. Then to close the gaps, I simply duplicated the existing geometry and used my knife tool to recreate the bevels. I also use the G-stretch loop tool to make the window look more flat. Now we can move on modeling this air vent on top of the roof. Start by sliding all of this vertices to match the blueprint. And now select these edges. To correctly separate this from the rest of the body and achieve the correct form, you'll need to activate proportional editing here in the upper portion of the screen and make sure to tick the Connected Only checkbox. Then press V while holding your mouse cursor on the right part of the screen. This way, we'll cut the vent in the right direction. And to get the correct form, select these edges and move them downwards while controlling the influence zone with your scroll wheel. Now our vent is starting to take its form, but to make it look better, we'll need to add borders on the sides. For this reason, I added a loop cut here, lowered all of this a bit, and then extruded these vertices down to create the faces. I also used the Relax Loop tool to smooth out these edges. And I added loop cuts on here to sharpen the corners. After doing that, I added a loop cut here, and I aligned it to this carbon piece on the blueprint. Then I simply close the borders by merging these vertices. Make sure to add a loop cut here. And the last thing you need to do to complete the vent is take these vertices and mark a seam on them. Make sure to include this carbon piece as well. This will make it easier for us to texture this section later. But for now, before we pass on modeling the side bumper, we need to make some minor adjustments to our door. What I did was firstly adding a loop cut here. Then I used my loop tools to space these other vertices. After that, I put my cursor here and pressed S+Z to elevate these edges. And I used my loop tools again to smooth out the curves. After doing that, I beveled this edge. And now to finish this, we just need to straighten these edges. Just use S+Y+0 on these. Then use S+Z on these edges and smooth out everything with loop tools. Finally, smooth out these parts of the bevel to add detail. Finally, we can get to modeling the rear bumper, and we're going to start right from the back of the door we just modified. First of all, place your cursor here. Duplicate this vertex and snap it with the cursor on the x-axis. Then separate it to a new object and add it to the roof using Ctrl+J. Then you can simply connect these vertices and outline the sharp edge from top view. Note that the last vertex should be about here. But to make the process very easy, you can temporarily move the entire edge loop here. And snap it back to its original position when you're done. Once you're finished on top view, align everything on side view too. Now we need to recreate the bevel we had on the door. To do that, I placed my cursor on one of the bevel's vertices. I duplicated this vertex here, separated it, and merged it with the roof. After that, I simply slided this vertex to the left and connected these two vertices, so that I could duplicate the entire edge loop and snap it to the corresponding vertices. Then I could finally fill all of these faces. Here I also added a loop cut and adapted it to the car's form. Finally, our model has a pretty good geometry base, but we can improve its quality by using our loop tools to make our topology look better. That is why I selected all of these edges and smoothed them with the Space Loop tool. This way our geometry will look tidier and shading will benefit from it. Make sure to take your time in perfecting the car's shape. It is crucial that you learn to look out for all those little imperfections, because this will take your modeling skills on a whole new level. For example, here I tried to make these curves look more smooth and natural. It might seem a pretty small change, but it really makes a difference. Here you can also notice that some edges from this bevel look strange, so I smoothed them too to make them less noticeable. And you can see the result, it's pretty good. Now let's finally model the side of the bumper. Firstly, pick these vertices, duplicate them, separate them, and join them with the bumper's object. Make sure to merge duplicates once you snap this edge to its place. And before starting to model, repeat this process with this little edge, since it's going to be useful later. Then go ahead and start outlining this edge. Once you get to this point, hide these vertices and position these on top view. Then continue outlining the edge. Once you finish the process with this edge, repeat it for this one. Make sure to isolate both of these in order to achieve a smoother curve. Once you've finished here, continue on top view. Now finally start filling some faces here. Make sure to add a vertex here if needed. And make sure to recalculate your normals with Shift+N. Now let's worry about filling the rest. From this vertex, extrude 2 edges around the headlight's cover. Then snap this edge's last vertex to it. And adjust it in side view. At this point, create an edge connecting these 2 vertices and add 14 loop cuts to it. This way you can adjust it to fit the car's curves. Then fill all of this and adjust the vertices by sliding them around. Do the same thing here. But before filling this part, I had to adjust this geometry correctly. Then I created an edge here and filled. I then adjusted these vertices on the y-axis. Added a loop cut here and adjusted these too. Then I finally filled this little piece by adding 5 loop cuts to both of these edges. I also recreated that bevel we deleted earlier. To do that, I created these vertices on both sides of the bumper. Then I connected them using mostly my knife tool. Now we're ready to model the lower part of the rear bumper, but before doing that, I decided to fix this weird sharp edge here. Actually, the fix was very simple. I just extruded this edge down and formed this faces. This way, this part of the body looks perfect. Let's finish this part of the car by modeling the lower part of the rear bumper. Start by outlining the small part next to the door. And to give it the right tridimensional form, scale all of these edges to 0 on the y-axis while having your cursor on the door's last vertex. Then relax these edges in grid fill. Make sure to remove this unnecessary bevels. And then continue outlining from here. Once you reach this point, position your cursor on this vertex and scale these to 0 on the y-axis. Then move the cursor here and scale these to 0 on the z-axis. Now extrude these edges. And adjust all these vertices on side view. After doing that, I extended this bevel by duplicating this edge and snapping it to the first vertex. Then I filled this space. Now you can take the edge you just created and extrude it downwards to align its vertices to the blueprint. You can see the last part of our bumper has taken most of its form. I then passed some time enhancing it and creating spaces around body seams. For example, I added a loop cut here to sharpen this edge after fixing this triangle. Then I separated all of these body parts. The last thing I did was creating some faces around every body piece to give thickness. To do that, I just selected all of the borders and I extruded them down. Obviously, don't forget to apply bevels on all sharp corners. And then repeat this process for all of these pieces. And here is our final result for part 3. In the next part of this series, we're going to complete the rear part of the car by modeling the diffuser, the spoiler, and all the smaller details. This said, I wanted to thank y'all for watching until the end of the video. A big thank you also goes out to all my Patreon members who support me through making these videos. And with this said, I hope you like my work, and I'll see you in the next part.